Welcome to Jets Rehab. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Orlando Macchia. Orlando, how are you?
Oh, good evening, Russ. I'm doing pretty well.
Good,
How are you?
good. Yeah, doing good, doing good. Michael Jello, how are you?
I am. I just had a drink of water, so I'm not parched any longer.
Well, that's great. At least it's not alcohol. Um, so let's get started. We're gonna Orlando. We'll talk about our Pittsburgh adventure just for a minute, just to
Mm.
catch people up since we didn't do a show from then. But my big takeaway was, hey, I like that building. The fans were great. The food's really good. It's a shame Aaron Rodgers ruined that game, but it's the way it goes.
Yeah, I had a nice time, and I'll take part of the blame for that because with 3:01 left in the first half, I said to you when the Jets got the ball in that drive before the interception, I said, "Hey, I might need to go to road games more often." It seems like they win when I'm on the road. But no, Pittsburgh was a good time, and it was great catching up with you and hitting the casino, getting food.
Yeah. So yeah, the casino was fun. I saw Fireman Ed there, and yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So we we move on to this week's game where they did pull it out in this past week, and the big takeaway was they finally had a second half worthy of at least 70% Aaron Rodgers. He's never going to be 100% anymore, but he was about 70%, and Garrett Wilson was like 120%. So that was my easy part of the takeaway, and the defense definitely uh, still has struggles against the run. That's still a worry.
Yeah, and you saw that especially in the first half. I think Mixon had 84 yards through the first, and he had two big runs called back. The offense couldn't do anything. Obviously, we'll probably get to the Corley gaff, but
Well, we can talk about it now. Mike, did you see that play with Corley and him trying to like be cool with the ball in the end zone, and sure enough, he didn't release it late enough, and it's like as he's crossing the goal line. Which again, these rules are ridiculous now, anyhow. But whatever, like that's what they called.
I didn't see it, but I've seen items like that in the past, and you just want to like bop the guy on the head and just like, can you not just be stupid? Can you just like score the touchdown or get the first down without the celebration, without all the stuff, and then you end up screwing something up. So I didn't see it, but I'm not surprised by anything anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Orlando, my takeaway is yes, it's the player's fault, but whatever happened to when they break the plane, that's it. Because clearly he broke the plane, like, but now it's like, oh, well, you got to have control of the ball when you do this and that. It's like, what are we doing here?
he was in. The ball didn't break the plane. He dropped it behind his back going in for the touchdown, and the reason I didn't want to get into it right away, but it's like if I'm Ulbrich this week, what I'm saying to him, quickly, right? Players, coaches, everybody makes mistakes on the field. That one was a controllable one, and that's inexcusable. That can't happen again. And I wouldn't have played him another snap. He played some in the second half.
Oh,
But I
you're
would.
going to take the Bill Parcells tact.
Well, I would absolutely, though. I would give him an opportunity at some point in the game, probably early, some point in the first half. Give him an opportunity with the ball in his hands, set up something like that, an end around or a sweep kind of play, or get him involved in the offense just to, get him contributing. I don't, it's not like the kid has been, it wasn't Ja'Kai Polite, where he was late for meetings repeatedly as a pick. By all accounts, he's a good kid. He made you can't make that mistake again, but I think you got to give him a chance to contribute.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So other than that, I mean, the kicking game's still a disaster. I think we're basically Jet fans are holding their breath every kick. Like it's just it's kind of ridiculous, especially when you see other teams, and we'll get to Mike in a minute, making like 59 yarders. Like the Jets don't even have a prayer of making a 59 yarder anymore.
Oh, and the other night when Garrett Wilson made the first great catch on the third down on the crosser for the touchdown, the first thing I'm thinking is, God, this is still going to be 7-6. And that ball hit the upright and actually went through. So for once, for once the upright was on their side, unlike against Buffalo. But the kicking game's still a problem, and I think you saw that in some of their fourth down approach.
Yes.
In that game, especially at 10-7 where they went for it from the 22. And I would expect that to continue through Sunday. And Sirlane's on IR. That's a salary cap.
Yeah,
But
he's
I think
not hurt.
no, but the kicking game is going to be a problem, I think, for the rest of the year. And I wonder how many of these curious third downs you're going to see, like, 50 or less, somewhere like, the 30, 30 inside the 35. How many of these do you
Yeah.
see on like 4th and 5s, 4th and 6s? I think it's good. I think you're going to see them on Sunday for sure. But
Yeah, I think so.
So
Mike,
so he's on the IR with a broken psyche.
yeah,
a bruised ego, and if they cut him, the salary cap acceleration would have been a problem too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
that's also in play.
because Joe Douglas, needs to go. Like some of these contracts, trades. I'm not going to get on for the trade at the deadline. Like, we'll talk about it, but I'm not going to. But I'm just talking about all the other stuff. Anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
so Mike, the Buffalo Bills, they pretty much have a stranglehold on the division.
Mm-hmm.
Miami pretty much lost their chance to have any playoff hopes, but that game was not a gimme. And again, I do kind of wonder about the Bills. Like, we look at the Steelers, I think, are like a faux 6-2. They're not that good. I think the
Mhm.
Ravens are actually better. The Texans are, I think, mediocre, but the Chiefs are still a problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the Bills right now are probably the third best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
Baltimore, they lost to Baltimore. Their two losses are to Baltimore and Houston was a much better team than they are now with Diggs and with I think Nico Collins got hurt in that
Yes.
game. But no, you were bringing up the kick, the 61-yard game winner
Oh, I
by
thought it was
Tyler
59,
Bass.
61,
No,
whatever it
60.
was.
Well, yeah, no, I wasn't. I'm just saying.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just kidding.
The thing is that, okay, great, he made that kick, and of course I'm going to look at things glass half empty. He missed an extra point. It wouldn't have been necessary for him to
Right.
make a 61-yard had he just made a friggin' extra point that he should make. And the other one, he put another extra point off the upright and through. So they picked up somebody on the practice squad, and there's been a lot of talk about him being potentially replaced. Similar situation to Zerline. He's got a big cap hit, but this is probably going to give him an extra life or two. But if he blows a game against Kansas City or San Francisco or one of these games that are upcoming, then all the doubts about Tyler Bass are going to come back. But to your point about them sort of, I don't think they're a paper tiger. Maybe they're not as good as the record is showing, but they couldn't stop the run. Miami was heavily, using
No, I didn't say
HN.
this. I didn't say the Bills were a paper tiger. I said the Steelers were.
Oh no, but I'm saying a little bit
Okay.
that they are, because they, who have they beaten? They really, they've beaten the teams that they should beat, but the two best opponents that they've played, Houston and Baltimore, on the road, they've lost. Against Miami, a team that they knew that was going to run the ball heavily, like they did against Arizona the previous week, and that has a quarterback that if he takes one more big hit, his career is over with. They couldn't stop HN and they couldn't stop Mostert, and they almost lost that game to a team that's now 2-6. So, there are a lot of things that need to be tweaked. And at the deadline, they did not add a defensive lineman, which a lot of people thought that they might. So, they may pick up some players off of waivers or bring some people in, but I think there's some areas that still need tweaking, and they have half a season to tweak them.
Yeah, I mean, they could have picked up Jefferson Orlando, but I guess they didn't want him.
I still kind of expect that signing, because if there was one thing the Jets were going to do, it was maybe bring in a body at defensive tackle to help fortify the run defense. It's a guy who had success there. I could still see that coming.
Yeah, but I mean, I meant the Bills, but yeah, the Jets probably should too. Either one.
Well,
either one could use him.
The talk is that the Bills, and this is a thing that Sean McDermott and a lot of coaches in the league do. They prefer the guys that know the system, that can adjust quickly. There's a lot of talk. Dallas cut Jordan Phillips, who was a defensive tackle with them on 2 separate occasions, and he made some comments on social media about coming back to the Bills. So there's a lot of talk about that happening, and there's also a lot of talk about them bringing Micah Hyde back, who is sort of like in semi-retirement because they got rid of Mike Edwards, a safety. He just didn't work out. So they're bringing back. They may be bringing back players that know their system and know it well.
Yeah, actually, I just got a text, Mike, from one who does. Vlad Dukas said he's just 37 and he'd be happy to come out of retirement and play for the Bills.
Yeah. They need it. They need a turnstile at the new stadium.
A stadium with no roof. But anyhow, we move on. Because they're not going to get snowed out or anything, or have bad weather.
No.
Come on, but that's part of the charm.
But Russ, they have the new stadium has wind suppression.
Oh my God, are they really trying to sell that?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Suppression. Oh, that's fantastic. So do they have bigger fans to blow the wind the other way so the snow goes away from the stadium? Is that what they're trying to do here?
No, well, I know that.
I mean, it sounds like they have Dr. Evil drawing up the plans here. It doesn't really sound real.
Well, a lot of the stands apparently in the new stadium will be covered, and there's an opening obviously for the field, and there are things on the I can't use any more technical word than things, but things on the roof that would prevent the wind from getting into the bowl of the stadium. Do I believe it? No, it's wind. It's coming off the lake. Of course it's going to get windy. It's going to get snowy. I mean, they didn't want to spend the extra $1 billion to put a roof on the stadium.
They will have an asymmetrical canopy, Mike, to help with the wind flow. The canopy will cover 64% of the seats. So what that means is for the other people, you still got to bring your own shovel just in case.
Yes, for all the serfs in the upper deck. Yes.
They'll pay you $20 an hour to shovel. And now, not to be contrarian, but I kind of like that we're getting a new stadium in a cold weather climate that's actually open roof. Because you look, Cleveland's going to be building a stadium, it looks like now in the suburbs, and that's going to have a roof over it.
Of it. There's no way you would ever show up to a game there in December.
No, I'm a Floridian. I'll be hypocritical. When I go to Buffalo, when I want the new stadium, or when I go to the new stadium, it'll be a game in September, October,
right?
Through mid-November. Like I was even looking, Russ, I'd love to go to the old Ralph this year, but it's December 28th. No thanks.
Yeah, Russ, I've lived here my entire life. I've been to a ton of Bills games. I haven't been to a Bills game since 2017, and it was in October. You wouldn't catch me dead at one of those at that stadium in November or December, even if it's a day like today, which is today it was 70 degrees here. It can turn on a hat. I don't like. I'll watch it from the comfort of my home.
Yeah, I would say the last time I showed up for a really cold game at MetLife, well, it wasn't even MetLife, it was the old stadium, Giant Stadium, and that was 1998 when they beat the Jags. That's it. It's not happening anymore. But I will say I'm happy to see it's real grass. So good for them on that.
Yes.
That yes. I'm sincere about. I wish all stadiums would go real grass. Okay. One other thing. Two things I said. We all had our little preseason stuff. I did say the Commanders were going to be good. Now I think the Commanders are actually going to take the division, and we'll talk about their move at the deadline. They've actually been better than what I thought. And I'm telling you, Nick Sirianni and the Eagles tried to give away that game to the Jags. Nick Sirianni is so close to being fired. Like you could just see it.
Yeah, but is he going to bring his kids into the room to prevent him from being
fired? No, I think he learned from that.
But he hasn't learned from his mistakes.
No.
Such as, I'll tell you at the end of the first half, that whole thing, when they were up 16-0, they decided to go for 2. Okay, we're not going to get it. Right. There was 20 seconds left in the half. They had 3 timeouts. Okay, we don't like the look. We're going to call a timeout. We'll kick the extra point. Well, you kick the extra point, you go up 17-0. It's a 3-score game.
Mm-hmm.
They jump off sides. Now you get it, and now they accept the penalty as a 2-point conversion from the 1. So you've made it a 3-score game. You take the point off the board, you go for 2, and you don't get it. Like you just leave yourself open to second guessing with that. And then some of his 4th down decision making. Early, there was one play in the 3rd quarter. He didn't take a field goal. And they're up 22-0 in that game. Like it's over. You could relax, but there's so many things you could sit and complain about. Like Russ, the Jaguars had 36 yards of offense in the first half, and that game got stressful.
Oh yeah.
And if Devontae Smith doesn't make a catch, arguably as good as Garrett Wilson made Thursday night,
Yeah.
at 22-16, it's like you're sitting there stressed out. He's not going to go for
different
field goal.
game, or even it went down to that interception in the end zone. Like it should never have come to that. But okay. All right. So now we'll talk about the trade deadline. I would say, and look, you guys are more the expert with me than this. I'll talk about the Jets thing first because that's easy. Let's get out of the way.
Mhm.
Mike Williams going to the Steelers. I'm not sure what Joe Douglas is doing here. Why would you send him to the Steelers? You still could allegedly be fighting them in the playoffs or something. It doesn't make sense, but they got a 5th rounder. Fine. We knew Williams wasn't going to hang around. Aaron Rodgers tried to at least make it seem like he was going to throw to him, and he got a couple throws in the game after the whole incident, but we all knew he was going to be gone.
And the thing with Williams, though, like one, the 5th round straight compensation, I was actually shocked about. I was expecting nothing more than a pick swap. And it's something where the Jets and Steelers seem to be in a game of chicken, because those trade rumors came about the week after the Buffalo game. So after the play where he ran up the red line. They go to Pittsburgh. They decide we're not going to trade him. We're playing this week. It's competition in the conference.
Right.
But he wasn't fitting the offense. And then the Steelers all of a sudden today blinked because they struck out on other receivers. And I would guess a guy like DK Metcalf was probably too expensive for their appetite. Probably would have cost you a couple 2nd-round picks.
Right.
So to get Mike Williams for a 5th and to get him out, like for the Jets, it's actually a win from a compensation standpoint. They're thin at receiver, but he wasn't contributing. And that's the way I look at it. What was he doing anyway?
Yeah. No, that's fair. The Steelers also got Preston Smith. That's pretty good. I mean, the Jets could use a linebacker, but they certainly weren't going to add anything. So, but the Jets just need linebackers. That's my thinking on that. Like Mike said, nothing with the Bills. I'm trying to look and see if there's anybody else in division here.
No, I mean
No.
the big rumor was maybe Miami trading Calais Campbell, but they opted not to because I don't know. Do they think that they're still in the wild card race at 2-6? I can't see it.
I think they have to fake it to sell tickets. That's probably my guess. Now that Tua is back, they're gonna say they're gonna go on a run. I will say this. It nauseates me that the Bengals could start so poorly and still be a game up on the Jets. They get Khalil Herbert. I don't even know how good he is, but the Bears actually got rid of him, so that shows that they don't even have any room for him because the Bears aren't bad.
No, go ahead, Orlando.
They're not. I mean, they've got big problems on the offensive line that I think have been exposed the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They got the big names at receiver, but something there hasn't been working where they're off. Like even the game against Commanders, like they come back in the game and they lose on that Hail Mary, but they're getting shut out late in the 3rd quarter. That's an offense you weren't expecting that from. So to me, like to move on from a guy like that and you get a lottery ticket who doesn't fit your offense, I think so be it.
Mike, any thoughts?
No, I mean, we know that the Bengals. I mean, I think the biggest move, or in terms of negative for them, was Mixon leaving, because they're clearly scrambling in terms of a running game, and I think they have to sort of keep some of the heat off of Burrow if they think they have any kind of chance of doing anything in the and getting into the playoffs. But I mean, it just shows the desperation that they had to go out and get a running back who honestly I didn't know much about until I heard the trade. So I can't really judge it other than there is a need there, and I'm sure they're hoping that he has some level of success.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The 2 teams I thought that made out great. I think the team that made out the best was the Commanders, getting Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, that's a big time pick. Their defense was already pretty good. Their offense is good. This is a team that could could win their division and make some noise in the playoffs now because they're getting great quarterbacking. What do you think, Orlando?
Lattimore is probably a little more name than substance at this point, but he was he was the best available guy they could get, and and the price wasn't that prohibitive. It was a 3 or 4 and a pick swap, but there's also when you look at that with a young team like that with a first year coach, you got to reward your players too, right? Like they're 7-2, that was unexpected, and they needed help with the corner position, so. What better splash to make than, he can still play. It's not like he's washed, but he's not, I don't think he's the, you're looking at this, 4-time Pro Bowl corner. I don't think you're getting pure shutdown performance out of him.
But he's going to help him.
Yeah, he's going to help them. It was their biggest need, and they got the biggest name that, I guess the splashiest addition they can make. I think that's the right thing to do in that locker room.
Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a good acquisition. It's weird that this organization has turned things around so quickly. Last year they were dumping, who was it, Sweat and Chase and the former second overall pick, Chase
Young.
Chase Young, thank you.
Yeah.
Drawing a blank. So they shipped those guys out last year, and now all of a sudden, and it's all a reflection of Jaden Daniels and the fact that they're on a positive track, and maybe they slayed the beast by getting rid of Daniel Snyder, and now all of a sudden the curse is off that organization. I honestly I thought that the most impactful move that was made was the Zadarius Smith acquisition by the Lions, especially with Hutchinson out for the year. I know there was a lot of talk about Buffalo being in on him potentially because he didn't have a big cap hit, and they needed that pass rusher to replace a player who was out for the year. So I think that and this is a team that this is an impact move because it's either going to be them. I mean, I think they're the favorite right now in the NFC. I mean, I'm sure somebody else could pop up in the second half of the season, but right now they look almost unstoppable.
Yeah, I think the favorite in the NFC is the Lions. I don't think anybody's. Orlando, what do you think?
I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. I mean, they're winning every game convincingly, and they're beating good teams too. It's not like they're just running up the score on teams like Jacksonville or downtrodden teams.
Right.
I mean, they're convincingly winning games.
Yeah,
they've got the two-headed monster running back with Montgomery and Gibbs. And I mean, how about what they did Sunday? Gibbs didn't even touch the ball in the first quarter. I even texted my buddy. I'm like, was he late for a meeting? Did he not sleep? No, they're working Montgomery, but they work Montgomery in the slop. They get Gibbs really involved in the second half on a big drive to put that game away. And it was like, obviously, and then Amon St. Brown keeps it. He's always open. Sam Laporta's had a little bit of a down year off of his rookie year, but they've got weapons offensively. They've got the best offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
And the defense is good enough. I think they made some important additions in the secondary, which was their big problem last year, especially a corner. Mm-hmm. So I think they're the best team in the league right now. They're the team to beat it.
Yeah, and Aiden Hutchinson, made it to a State Farm commercial, and it's probably part of the reason I dropped State Farm because it was like their prices went up, and it's like, yeah, I wonder why you've signed everybody from the NFL to represent your product. That may be why. Just a thought.
Well, I don't need to see Mahomes any more than I see him, and I see him in every State Farm commercial. So I'm ready to vomit.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, in terms of, the Lattimore deal, he may not be as good as, he has been in the past, but I think he's still pretty good in terms of like a name recognition deal that I think let's just say this. I don't know how much is left in the tank for Tre'Davious White. I loved him as a Bill. He had a couple really traumatic injuries. He goes to, I think it was the Rams, and now the Rams flip him to the Ravens.
Yep.
And okay, that's a really good defense, but this is not the Tre'Davious White that was a first team All Pro. So
we see that with a lot of these guys, right? That
Yeah,
They're not exactly the same.
is this a guy who can play in nickel and dime? Sure. Is he a guy who can be a shutdown corner? Not anymore.
Yeah, and I saw that the 49ers got Khalil Davis. That's fine. That's going to help them. I mean, they're underwhelming at the moment anyhow, but now that they're playing the Bucks, who were underwhelming, somebody has to win that game. I don't think Orlando's going to go to that one, but sometimes he goes just because there's football. Um, we'll talk about games for this week in a minute. I wanted to mention how if you're on NFL.com, because I could see a scenario here Mike wouldn't like, but it says how to watch, and you can figure out how to watch. It has Ticketmaster, which don't get me started, and that has Courtyard by Marriott. And I'm just waiting for them to add a food. So like when it's the Bills, they'll be like, well, yeah, eat at the Anchor Bar. It's going to happen.
Yeah, the Anchor Bar in Niagara Falls, which is right next to. Yeah, no, it's not.
I'm just letting you know that that's what's next, Mike. It's
the wings are murder.
yeah. So the Jets got flexed out, Orlando, which is great for all of us.
Thank God.
Nobody cares that that happened. The players are probably happier. So they're the 425 against the Cardinals. This is a winnable game. I mean, it's not great going to Arizona to play, but this should help Aaron Rodgers. It's a nice warm climate, and people when they go to retire go there, and so his bones should feel good anyhow, right?
You'd think so after the long week. I hate to be the opposite of you. I actually think they're going to get steamrolled in this game.
Steamrolled.
Oh, yeah. I think they're losing this game by double digits.
Double digits? Why?
Oh.
Well, for one, the Jets can't stop the run.
Okay, that's a good reason.
So that's a big problem. Arizona's getting just under 150 yards a game on the ground. And but it's an unconventional rushing attack, right? Because you got Kyler Murray, who gets the bulk of it. James Conner's a big body, slower guy.
Yeah, but maybe the Jets will have 6 sacks or something.
But I can't see that. They run out of the shotgun. They're probably going to be able to run out of smaller fronts because they could spread the field. They've got a great tight end in Trey McBride who's going to get mismatches. If I had to guess, probably on Jalen Mills. And he's one of the 2 or 3 best tight ends in football. And Murray's able to extend plays. And they didn't even, and by the way, they win that game 29-9 last week. They didn't even need him to do anything. They just ran the ball on the Bears. Yeah. The Jets can't stop the run. And again, the benefit that they have is the adjustment you make when you can't stop the run. You get that, you get that 8th guy in the box, or you play the 4-3 front and you get guys cheating. What I would do if I was the Cardinals, I'd run out of spread fronts and run off tackle and run on Sauce's side, because he's just going to try to wrap guys up on the shoulders.
Yeah, don't get me started on Sauce. And I still regret not getting Kyle Hamilton. I tried to support Sauce, but this year with the lack of tackling, it's hard. It's getting harder every game.
I'm not going that far, but I don't think there's any doubt he's regressed this year for sure.
Yeah, I like him.
He doesn't travel with
player,
the best guys.
But he's just not great. All right, he's got a little
Deion Sanders in him. I mean, great cover corner. But I'll just say this. I mean, I saw the Cardinals the opening game against the Bills, and that was when Marvin Harrison Jr. was a non-factor. I've sort of kept an eye, and he's starting to contribute. I mean, that's going to be. Yeah, that'll be a little bit of a tough matchup for him. I think the Jets, if their defense plays as well as they did against Houston, then I think they can win that game. But it will be a challenge because Murray is very slippery.
Hey, the good news is nobody will be wearing his jersey in the crowd. So
yeah, but also though with that argument, all you got to do is just travel him all you got to do is put Harrison on the side that Sauce doesn't like to go.
Right.
He doesn't travel. We saw that in Pittsburgh when George Pickens was getting covered by the likes of Brandon Eccles. But that's another story.
I'm going to go 27-24 Jets, so screw you, Orlando. That's
not to be negative. I think this is going to – and the thing is, though, like the Cardinals are super Jekyll and Hyde. Like there's weeks I'm bullish. I'm like, I got burnt. They were a big favorite against the Commanders about a month ago, and I really liked them at home. I thought it was a great spot for them, and they got trounced. Now that team turned out to be better than we thought they would. But I think their strengths on offense play into, one, the Jets' weaknesses, and two, if this game turns into a track meet and a shootout, the Jets can't get into that. So they're really going to have to slow the game down. They're going to have to run the ball a lot to keep them at bay and keep them off the field. and hope that, hey, like, can you score 27? You know, the Jets have been like a 2024 team. Can you give me 27? Right now, I'm going to say like 30-16 Arizona.
All right, you could say it. Hopefully you're wrong.
Me too.
I
I hope
the
I'm
only
wrong.
the only other game I'll mention, and then Mike will see if you have anything, then we'll wrap it up.
Mhm.
I think the Commanders are going to beat the Steelers, and that'll be my revenge game for the Steelers beating the Jets. Anything, Mike? You know, Buffalo can't lose this week. Is there anything else you're looking at?
Well, no, I think they can lose, even though Indianapolis is not an impressive team. These are the type
No.
of games that Buffalo can
All right.
lose.
All right.
So,
So
I
you
mean,
think they
now,
can? All right.
well, I mean, there's a little bit of doubt right now whether it's going to be Flacco starting or Richardson starting. I mean, they went to Flacco last week,
No,
and I
they
guess
said
he was.
Flacco. From what
They
I
said
saw, it's
Flacco.
Flacco.
Okay,
Yes.
From here on out.
If it's Flacco, then he's a statue back there. Then I think the
Yeah.
Bills can get the pass rush going, and if as long as Allen has a decent game, then they should win. But
So give us a score, Mike.
27-17 Bills.
All right. All right. And that's it. That's it for Jets Rehab. We'll catch everybody next time.
Listen, everybody.